The truth has a way of surfacing when you least expect it, and sometimes it arrives not as a whisper but as a tidal wave that reshapes how you see the people you love most. This is one of those stories. A story about trust, control, and a family that crossed a line they never thought they'd have to answer for. It begins with a cruise, a lie, and a grandmother who was never in the hospital at all. I had been looking forward to that cruise for months. It wasn't just a vacation, it felt like a milestone. I had recently started asserting more independence in my life, making decisions for myself instead of running everything past my parents. The cruise represented freedom, rest, and a chance to breathe away from constant expectations. When the invitation came through extended family, I said yes immediately. I paid my share, booked time off work, and started counting down the days. Then, just a week before departure, my parents sat me down. Their faces were serious, heavy with concern. My mother's eyes were red as if she'd been crying, and my father spoke in that low, careful voice people use when delivering bad news. They told me Grandma had been rushed to the hospital. Complications, they said. Unclear prognosis. The message was unmistakable. I shouldn't go on the cruise. Family comes first. If something happened and I wasn't there, I'd regret it forever. Guilt hit me instantly. My grandmother and I were close. The idea of relaxing on a ship while she lay in a hospital bed felt unbearable. I canceled the cruise. I lost money. I disappointed friends who were going. But I told myself it was the right thing to do. I stayed home, waiting for updates, anxious and heartbroken. Except the updates never came. Days passed, then weeks. Whenever I asked about Grandma's condition, the answers were vague. She's stable, she's resting, the doctors are monitoring her. Something felt off, but I pushed the thought away. Who lies about something like that? The truth came out by accident, as these things often do. I ran into my cousin at a grocery store about a month later. We chatted casually until she mentioned how much Grandma had enjoyed a recent church picnic. I froze. A picnic? I asked what she meant, and my cousin looked confused. She told me Grandma had been fine, laughing, baking, and very much not hospitalized. My stomach dropped. That night, I called my grandmother directly. I didn't accuse her of anything. I just asked how she'd been feeling. She sounded cheerful, energetic, completely healthy. When I carefully mentioned the hospital, there was a long pause. Then she said she had no idea what I was talking about. She hadn't been sick. She hadn't been admitted. Nothing had happened. I hung up and sat in silence, replaying every conversation with my parents. The tears didn't come right away. First came disbelief, then confusion, and finally a deep, burning sense of betrayal. They hadn't exaggerated. They hadn't misunderstood. They had fabricated an entire medical emergency to control my decision. When I confronted them, they didn't deny it. That was the most shocking part. They justified it. They said they were worried about me. They didn't like the people I was going with. They thought the cruise was irresponsible. They claimed they did it for my own good, and that I would thank them someday. I didn't thank them. I asked how they could weaponize my love for my grandmother. How they could manipulate my emotions so casually. My mother cried. My father got defensive. They told me I was overreacting, that no real harm was done. But harm had been done. Something fundamental had cracked. Trust isn't a light switch you can flip back on. In the weeks that followed, I struggled with anger and grief, not over the missed vacation, but over the realization that my parents saw me not as an autonomous adult, but as someone they could still control through fear and guilt. I replayed moments from my past, wondering how many decisions had been shaped by similar manipulation I hadn't noticed at the time. My grandmother, when she found out, was furious. Not at me, but at them. She told me she felt used, reduced to a prop in a lie. She apologized over and over, even though she'd done nothing wrong. That conversation, painful as it was, became a turning point. We grew closer, bonded by the shared shock of what had been done in her name. I set boundaries after that. Real ones. Painful ones. I told my parents that lying about someone's health was unforgivable and that rebuilding trust would take time, if it happened at all. I stopped sharing details of my plans. I stopped asking for permission I didn't need. The dynamic shifted, and they didn't like it. There were consequences for them too. Other family members found out. Some were horrified, others tried to minimize it, saying my parents were just overprotective. But overprotection doesn't require deception. Control does. The hardest part wasn't the confrontation or the fallout. It was grieving the version of my parents I thought I had. The ones who, I believed, would always be honest with me. The ones who taught me that lying was wrong. Accepting that they were capable of this meant accepting that our relationship would never be what it was before. And yet, something unexpected happened in the aftermath. I found my voice. I learned that setting boundaries isn't cruelty, it's self-respect. I learned that love doesn't excuse manipulation, and family doesn't mean forfeiting your autonomy. Missing that cruise hurt, but losing my illusions hurt more. Still, the clarity that followed was worth it. If there's one thing this experience taught me, it's that lies told, for your own good, are still lies, and often the most damaging ones. They erode trust quietly, leaving cracks that only become visible when it's too late. Family bonds are powerful, but they should never be built on fear or control. Today, when I think about that cruise, I no longer feel regret. I feel resolve. I know who I am, what I deserve, and what I won't tolerate. And I know that the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than a comfortable lie. After the confrontation, life didn't snap back into place the way movies sometimes suggest. There was no emotional music, no instant apologies that magically fixed everything. Instead, there was an uncomfortable quiet that settled over my family like thick fog. Conversations became cautious, text messages were shorter, phone calls felt strained, as if everyone was afraid the wrong word might reopen a wound that hadn't even begun to heal. At first, my parents tried to act as though nothing had really changed. They invited me to dinner, asked about work, talked about weather and errands. But beneath the surface, everything was different. I could feel it in myself most of all. I was listening more closely, questioning things I once accepted without hesitation. Every story, every concern they expressed now came with a shadow of doubt. I hated that feeling, but I couldn't unlearn what I had learned. My mother eventually tried to have a heart-to-heart. She said she hadn't slept well since everything came out. She told me she felt misunderstood, that she had only acted out of fear of losing me. According to her, the cruise symbolized me pulling away, building a life that didn't revolve around the family anymore. She said the lie wasn't meant to hurt me, only to delay something she wasn't emotionally ready to accept. I listened, but something inside me had shifted. Fear doesn't justify manipulation. Love doesn't excuse dishonesty. I told her that intentions don't erase impact, and that what hurt most wasn't just the lie itself, but how easily it had been told. She cried again, and I felt that familiar tug of guilt, the instinct to comfort, to smooth things over. For the first time, I resisted it. My father's reaction was different. He became distant, almost cold. When we spoke, his tone carried an edge, as if my refusal to move on was a personal insult. He said families sometimes have to make hard choices, and that I'd understand when I had children of my own. That comment lingered with me for days, not because it made sense, but because it revealed how justified he still felt. There was no real remorse there, only frustration at being challenged. Extended family added another layer of complexity. Word spread, slowly and awkwardly. Aunts called to check in. Uncles offered unsolicited advice. Some relatives told me I was right to be upset. Others suggested I was making things bigger than they needed to be. A few even implied I should apologize for exposing the issue and causing tension. It was eye-opening to see how quickly people rushed to preserve comfort, even at the expense of accountability. Through all of this, my grandmother became my unexpected anchor. We talked often. She shared stories from her younger years, times when she had been pressured, controlled, or silenced for the sake of family harmony. She told me she was proud of me for standing up for myself, something she said she hadn't always known how to do. Her support made me feel less alone, less like I was the problem everyone else seemed eager to smooth over. Still, there were nights when doubt crept in. I wondered if I should have just let it go. After all, the cruise was over. Nothing could change that. Was I really willing to let one lie reshape my entire relationship with my parents? Those thoughts usually came late at night, when loneliness has a way of distorting perspective. But every time I imagined pretending it never happened, my chest tightened. Sweeping it under the rug would have meant teaching them that the behavior was acceptable. Slowly, I began to rebuild my life with more intention. I focused on friendships that felt honest and reciprocal. I planned trips without announcing them in advance. I made decisions without running them by my parents first, and though it felt rebellious at times, it also felt freeing. I wasn't cutting them out, I was redefining where they fit. There was one moment, months later, that crystallized everything. My parents mentioned another family event, hinting heavily that they expected me to attend. When I said I wasn't sure yet, my mother sighed dramatically and said, "Well, I hope nothing bad happens while you're gone." The comment was subtle, but unmistakable. The old tactic, softened but still present. I didn't argue. I simply said, calmly, that comments like that were exactly why trust hadn't been restored. The silence on the other end of the line was long. Then she changed the subject. It wasn't an apology, but it was a retreat. And for the first time, I felt the balance of power shift, just a little. Healing, I learned, isn't linear. Some days I felt strong and certain. Other days I mourned the closeness I once thought we had. I missed the simplicity of believing my parents would never intentionally hurt me. Accepting their flaws meant accepting that love and harm can coexist, and that realization was heavier than I expected. I also started to recognize how common stories like mine are. Friends confided similar experiences. Parents lying, exaggerating crises, using guilt as leverage. It made me realize this wasn't just a personal betrayal, it was part of a larger pattern where control is disguised as care. Naming it gave me power. It meant I wasn't cruel or ungrateful for pushing back. I was just refusing to participate in something unhealthy. Over time, my parents began to adjust, though not without resistance. They tested boundaries. They made passive comments. But they also started asking instead of assuming. They paused before making emotional appeals. Progress was slow and imperfect, but it was real. I kept my expectations realistic. Trust, once broken, doesn't return to its original shape. It forms something new, more cautious, more conditional. Looking back now, I see that the cruise was never really the issue. It was the catalyst. The lie forced everything hidden into the open. The fear of losing control, the blurred lines between care and coercion, the unspoken belief that my independence was negotiable. Missing that trip cost me money and memories, but it gave me clarity I might not have gained otherwise. If there's a lesson in all of this, it's that love should never require you to shrink. Anyone who needs to deceive you to keep you close is afraid of who you are becoming. Choosing yourself in those moments feels like betrayal, but it isn't. It's growth, and growth, even when painful, is honest. Today, my relationship with my parents exists in a new form. It's quieter, more deliberate. We're still family, but we're no longer pretending. And while the scar from that lie remains, it serves as a reminder of something important. I am allowed to live my life without being manipulated by fear. No cruise, no matter how luxurious, could ever compare to that freedom.